able.
Chair, through you, Governor, we have previously rejected this argument that somehow certain people don't apply for positions. I remember when we were discussing this issue of ethnic balance. You cannot tell me that a Kikuyu staying in Kitale will refuse to apply for a job, and then there's a colleague of yours who came and told us that people from outside that county do not apply for jobs. You and me as political leaders know what exactly is happening in our counties, because there are people who think certain counties belong to certain people, so that if you come from Bungoma, you can't apply for a job in Trans Nzoia. They will tell you, nyinyi muko na yenu. Especially because of the special nature of PWDs. I agree with you. This is an affirmative action measure, so that there have to be deliberate efforts to be able to get them to even apply. It is not something you just say they don't apply. We have rejected that argument here. And if you ask these senators here, actually Kenyans want to work. We are asked for jobs every day. They send me messages in the thousands saying, I just want to come even if I'm going to sweep your office. So it is not possible that you can say people don't apply. If you look at recruitments that happen at the national level, you are looking for 20 people, you get 50,000 applications. So, Governor, that argument that people don't apply for jobs, here we really don't agree with such arguments.
Maybe let's get all of these first so that you can respond at once.
Two things, Governor. One, this is a constitutional obligation. So, as Senator Sifuna has said that. Number two, out of 3,661, 51 employees are people living with disability. My question to the Governor, how many people, including your partisan staff, have you employed, including casual employees? And finally, I thought in any advert, even if you open online or any, there always a red line that says PWDs and youth and women are encouraged to apply. So I thought that is how you encourage. Senior council, it is not that they refuse to apply. For some of us who have interacted with the officials from PWD Council, they even have their own ID if you have doubt. So, Chair, I agree with Senator Sifuna that argument is neither here nor there. Or, Governor, maybe it's courtesy of your normal rhetoric. It could be the essence.
Just order. I think one of the things, maybe Governor, actually you're the one who's causing yourself problems, because the Auditor General is referring to a law at (2025) law. All of us supported that bill by Chris Olasige. In fact, this provision was quite contentious, but we stood with her, we stuck with her. And this law was passed, was it mid of 2025? Or late 2025? Around mid or later in 2025. One of the things we ought to do is to give it some time and do a legislative impact assessment. But anyway, I think in your view, even if we give it time, perhaps nothing will change.
Mr. Chairman, people with disabilities are encouraged to apply. But how do you enforce that encouragement? Other than putting the paper that maybe 3/4 of them haven't read that are being encouraged. That provision must be reserved for people with disabilities, and you must fill it. If they don't apply, you look for them and ensure that they...
Let me just ask you a question.
Yes.
When you put out an advert as the county government of Trans Nzoia, do you make it accessible to PWDs? Like, for instance, a blind person? How do you make sure they can see that hand? Because we have to think about these things in terms of access, and I wish Crystal was here today, because many of us who are able-bodied do not actually see the challenges of these people. So we must think about it as a country, because
what we do, Mr. Chairman, no, people living with disabilities in Trans-Nzoia, they have got an organization.
Order governor and
it
order
will be
members.
To provide PWD that they are not qualified. I can bring him 100.
We cannot have a conversation about they, because then that implies them versus us.
Yes.
You know, that the tone of that conversation is even wrong. So,
there's a point I think we can carry. What the governor is saying is we consider amending the law to reduce the minimum qualifications for PWDs, which I think makes a lot of sense. If you want to recruit somebody with a minimum D+, for PWD, it should be D, because I think we're getting data which will help us, showing that most of our PWDs don't attain the minimum requirement, so they are knocked off at maybe shortlisting.
Senior council, where?
Just a minute.
yeah, let's
Just a minute. You know, we're having a conversation this side and that side, and some of the information that comes here can get input into our report, and we recommend that we amend the law further so that we create lesser stringent qualifications for PWDs. And from where I'm sitting, makes a lot of sense.
I think then that comes back to us, because we are the ones who passed this law last year. But this committee, of course, we can make recommendations, but as at now, we are dealing with the law as it is. Senator Ombua,
Thank you, Chair.
Then we close this and move.
Thank you, Chair. One, I think it should never go on record that this committee sat and entertained a conversation that seems to be profiling PWDs. I mean, that should never happen. Chair, the thing to consider is exactly what Senior Counsel is saying. And the ball is here. It's in our court. Because you see, Chair, without appearing to speak for the governor, the governor is telling you his reality. That is his reality on the ground. That is the challenge that he is facing on the ground. For us, we are guided by the law, which may not apply as it should in every county in this country. So, Chair, as I said in the morning, these conversations also give us opportunities to think through legislations that we have passed. So if the reality in Trans-Nzoia is that this category of people are not applying because perhaps the threshold is beyond what they have, what can we do? Is that replicated in other counties? And if that is the case, what can be done to address the situation? I think.
But just for my own curiosity, who set the law that somebody must have a D+ for you to be a driver, for example? You know, I've always wondered. We have VTCs training people, mechanics, drivers, but when it comes to our adverts, we say you must have a D+ from 4, I don't know D+. Where is that law, legal counsel? You may think there's no law like that. You can just decide people who are supposed to work in the environment, sweepers, come with a Form 4 certificate or with a Class 8 certificate, and they're employed. We'll be able to get PWDs from that.
Chair, with your indulgence, a quick observation. I want to reject the notion that PWDs are not qualified. That's pedestrian, Chair. Because every job has a description. Even when we're hiring the IEBC commissioners, any independent officers, you'll always find PWD people who are qualified for those positions. Chair, I remember when we were processing the County Attorney Act, when I was chair and then, I used to be powerful, Sifuna, before you came. When I was the chair and then, one of the requirements was that we need a county attorney who is 7 years experience as a practicing advocate. Many people rejected, especially from certain parts of this country, saying you cannot get a lawyer who can come and work, for example, in a region like Mandera or somewhere in Busia. But when the law passed, there were so many advocates who applied for those positions. So it is similar argument, Chair, that we should not reduce this conversation to the qualifications of PWDs. These are affirmative decisions that the governor must give us practical solutions to this issue. Because if we just leave this room and the governor says, you know, the PWDs are not mostly qualified, I can tell you for free from my interactions as a leader in this country, there are so many PWDs people who are qualified. And by the way, they are talented in some ways that some of you might not believe. So that might not believe, Chair. So, Chair, let me rest it there. But I just wondered, because Governor has captured it very well by saying this is an affirmative position. That's why I asked a simple question. Out of these 69 employees, 51 of them are PWDs. I asked him a simple question. How many, since he came to office, including maybe even partner staff? You can say one of my partisan staff is a PWD, for example. So my question, Chair, if the governor can just answer, I know there have been a staff attrition, a few hiring. How many since he came to office that he has hired, including even his own partisan staff?
Okay,
Mr. Chairman, I can answer that question very fast. But you see, to say that I said that no people living with disabilities who are not qualified in Kenya is completely missing the point, and misinterpreted what I was saying. I didn't mean that. Number two, at the very senior level in the county government of Trans Nzoia, I have got a CC, who is a person living with disability and is here. I have a chief officer who is on a wheelchair. How many counties are like that in this country?
I think just speak for Trans Nzoia.
Those are very, very deliberate efforts that we make for purposes of inclusion. And that's why I'm proposing that every time you say 5% is reserved for people with disabilities, can it be reserved? And will not be filled until we get people with disabilities from wherever. That can serve us better. Then it means we're going even to go down in terms of quality and waive. Mr. Chairman, I remember when I was in the provincial administration, we used to say that to be a chief, you must have a C, play. But there are counties in this republic where you couldn't get C anywhere. And the chief who are employed with the KCP, they're on the payroll. The same can apply to people with disabilities. Like Honorable Sifuna was saying, in this country, how many people with visual impairment has KCS certificates? There are very, very, very few. So if you are rigid and you are saying everybody applying for this position must have these minimum qualifications, then we are going to lock out all these people, in spite of the fact that we've made provisions for them.
Now, if you, we need to close this argument. If you go by the,
maybe you can just stand, you see him.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, you can see the disability really.
No, it's okay. We don't want. Just take your seat. Just take your seat.
Honorable Chair, let me make a contribution to that very important debate. Maybe we must come from a point of some information. I come from a village. We are 4, and we sit as a community. 3 of them never went beyond class 8. And when the jobs are advertised, the minimum requirement cuts across. I think, Honorable Chair, with a lot of respect, it is incumbent to this Honorable House to come with a favorable law, considering the type of problems that people with disability go through. A lot of the ceiling is just too tight for the people with disability to break. So the minimum requirement is where the
in the 2025 Crystal Asige law, in your assessment as a person living with disability, what is the deficiency?
It is the best law for us people with disability, but I don't think it considered all the parameters that needed to be considered.
If we tasked you to advise us on the amendments that should be made, because you have done our bit as Parliament, just last year in 2025, we passed a law, so that we are not just talking. We are the ones who write the laws. You are the one living with that reality. Would you be willing to do so?
The law is very progressive, and I am willing to give meat to that law, together with the rest that
Fine. So let's leave it at that. Let's leave it at that. For now, this committee, our benchmark is a law as it is, and if it is not fulfilled, there are offences in the Act, and it is those offences that we'll refer to. Even though Senator Cherargei, you remember 2-3 days ago, the Star newspaper had a headline, which would imply that 90% of men in Nairobi are living with a disability. So this conversation might apply to you.
I think, Chair, that question should be answered properly by the area senator. If it was a matter of Nandi, I can have a local standby. But Sifuna is doing badly, we cannot account.
Chair, you know, it is these people who come from up country are the ones who are messing up the statistics in Nairobi. These ones from Nandi.
They are the majority of your voters.
Okay.
Speak for your men.
Speak for your men.
I think
Don't run away from responsibility.
those of us who are in the 1%, let us now proceed. Fine. So I think there's one of the Alcoholic Control Fund. We have seen the written responses, some correspondences.